Have you ever felt like fear was closing in on every side? Moments when the walls around you seemed too thin, too weak to keep the chaos out, when no hand felt strong enough to hold you steady. We've all been there. And it's in those moments that Psalm 91 comes alive, a divine melody, whispering straight to your heart, "Come close. I am your refuge." Psalm 91 is more than just a passage. It's a covenant, a sacred promise between us and God. Its opening words paint an incredible picture. God as our secret place, His shadow an unyielding fortress of protection. This isn't just comforting, it's transformative. No matter how unstable the world may feel, His presence is unshakable. His arms are our safe embrace. Think about it. The secret place of the Most High, mentioned in verse 1, isn't a physical spot you can find on a map. It's a divine invitation to rest your soul in Him. Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. These words offer more than safety. They offer intimacy. They beckon us to step closer, to let go of our fear and to trust. Why do we need this refuge? Because life is messy. It's unpredictable. Psalm 91 doesn't shy away from reality. It acknowledges dangers like the snare of the fowler, deadly pestilence, and destruction at noonday. Sound familiar? These threats mirror our modern fears, sickness, loss, uncertainties we can't control. Yet this psalm doesn't just name our fears, it rises above them with bold declarations of protection. Picture it. You, small and fragile as a bird, under the shelter of a mighty eagle's wings. Verse 4 captures this beautifully. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Can you feel it? This isn't a cold, distant shield. It's warm. It's personal. It's love wrapping itself around you, holding you close. And it doesn't stop there. Psalm 91 promises peace, not just for your body, but for your soul. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Verse 5. God's protection goes beyond the visible. It reaches into the deepest, darkest corners of your heart, silencing the fears that steal your strength. The beauty of this psalm lies in its deeply personal promises. Look at verse 14. Because He loves me, I will deliver Him. I will set Him on high because He knows my name. Can you hear the tenderness in these words? This isn't a blanket statement for humanity. It's a direct assurance to you. Because you are seen. You are loved. Does this mean life will be without pain or trials? No, Psalm 91 doesn't promise a trouble-free existence. What it does promise is that no matter what happens, God will be there, by your side, fighting for you, walking with you through every storm. Pause for a moment. Let these words settle in your heart. He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Verse 11. You are not alone, not in your struggles, not in your triumphs. God's angels are there, lifting you, protecting you, guiding you through life's roughest paths. Reading Psalm 91 isn't just about understanding it, it's about experiencing it. It's about stepping into that sacred relationship with God, where trust replaces fear and His peace becomes your anchor. Imagine standing under His wings, those mighty, unshakable wings, and letting your worries fade away. You don't have to understand every twist and turn of life. You just need to know you'll never walk alone. This is the promise of Psalm 91. It's a covenant of protection and love, a reminder that God is always there, waiting for you to come closer so He can shelter you forever. Let's take this journey through Psalm 91 together. Let's not just read its words, let's let them seep into our hearts, filling us with a trust so deep, so unshakable, that no storm can move us, because the God who promises to be your refuge will never, ever let you go. Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91, verse 1. Take a moment, pause, and let the weight of these words settle in your heart. This isn't just the opening of a psalm. It's a powerful declaration of hope, a promise of unshakable security for anyone who chooses to remain in God's presence. It whispers assurance. There is a refuge, a sanctuary where life's chaos cannot reach. The phrase, secret place of the Most High, evokes a deeply intimate and sacred image. Secret here doesn't mean hidden or inaccessible. It's personal, holy, reserved just for you and God. It's a place where masks fall away, where burdens are left at the door. No pretending, no striving, just rest. It's like a father welcoming his child with open arms, saying, "You're safe here." Now, consider this. Life is full of noise. Work deadlines press in, family demands overwhelm, uncertainty looms, and sometimes there's that quiet ache of emptiness you can't explain. And yet, this verse points us to a space where those things lose their grip. The secret place isn't about escaping reality. It's about connecting with the one who gives you strength to face it. It's not a physical location. It's a state of your soul, deeply rooted in God's presence. Let me tell you a story. I once met an elderly woman whose life had been anything but easy. She had lost her husband in a tragic accident and spent years raising 3 children alone, working tirelessly to make ends meet. Yet whenever you saw her, she radiated peace, an unshakable calm that seemed almost otherworldly. Intrigued, I asked her how she stayed so joyful despite everything she'd endured. Her answer was simple but profound. Every day I go to God's secret place. That's where I leave my burdens. He meets me there and gives me what I need to get through. She described kneeling in prayer each morning, imagining herself stepping into the sacred presence of the Most High. She said it wasn't about the room where she prayed, it was about the connection she found there. In that space, pain gave way to peace, fear melted into trust, and she found the strength to keep going, one day at a time. The second half of the verse, "shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty," gives us another breathtaking image. Imagine a weary traveler crossing a scorching desert, desperate for relief. Then they find a patch of shade, a place to pause, recover, and regain strength. That shade is God. His shadow doesn't just shield us from the intensity of life's trials, it wraps us in His peace, His care, His love. The word, Almighty, reminds us of His limitless power. He is not distant or detached. He is actively present, a fortress of protection in every storm. His shadow isn't just a place of shelter, it's a declaration of His nearness. It's safety, absolute, unshakable safety, that no circumstance, no force on earth can take away. But here's something important. This promise calls for a choice. Whoever dwells implies that we must choose to remain in God's presence. Dwelling isn't passive, it's intentional. Life's busyness, fears, and distractions constantly pull us away, but God is always there, waiting for us to come back, waiting to draw us into His embrace. So, let me ask you, have you found your secret place? It doesn't need to be elaborate. It could be a quiet corner of your home, a moment in your car before work, or even a walk in nature where you pour out your heart to Him. What matters isn't the location, but the posture of your heart, a willingness to meet Him, to rest under His shadow, and to trust His presence. When you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, you're not just escaping the chaos, you're stepping into relationship with the Almighty. You find more than protection, you find Him. The one who knows every worry, every fear, and every tear, standing ready to renew your strength. This verse isn't just a promise, it's an invitation, an open door to peace, to hope, to a love so steady it can hold you through anything. Will you step in? Will you rest in the shadow of the Almighty and let His presence fill your soul? The choice is yours, and He's waiting. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Psalm 91:2. Pause for a moment. Let these words sink in. They're not just poetry. They're a declaration of strength, a proclamation of unwavering faith. I will say of the Lord. These are not words whispered in fear, but spoken boldly with conviction. The psalmist is making a public statement, a testimony of trust in the God who protects, defends, and loves unconditionally. Look at the imagery here. Refuge and fortress. These words carry profound weight. They're not abstract ideas. They're symbols of tangible protection, offering us a glimpse into the depth of what it means to be safe in God's care. My refuge. Doesn't that word feel familiar, even comforting? A refuge is a place of retreat where we can rest when we're tired, hide when we're overwhelmed, or heal when we're hurting. In ancient times, a refuge was a sanctuary, a place where the vulnerable could escape harm. The psalmist reminds us that God is not a distant observer, but an ever-present haven, a refuge for your heart, your mind, and your soul. Imagine a child running home after a storm, seeking shelter in the arms of a loving parent. That embrace, that reassurance is what God offers you. You don't have to carry your burdens alone. You can run to Him, and He will be there, always. And my fortress. While refuge speaks of comfort and closeness, fortress paints a picture of strength and invincibility. A fortress is impenetrable, a towering stronghold designed to withstand the fiercest attacks. This isn't just about surviving. It's about standing secure, knowing that nothing can penetrate the walls God has placed around you. He is not only your sanctuary, but also your shield, your defender in every battle. Notice how personal this verse is. My God. These aren't just words about a distant deity or someone else's God. The psalmist claims this relationship with intimate certainty. My God, the one who has walked with me, comforted me, fought for me. This isn't borrowed faith, it's born out of personal experience. Can you say the same? Have you made God your refuge and fortress? Let's look at the final phrase. In Him I will trust. Trust is the hinge on which this entire verse turns. It's not a fleeting emotion or a half-hearted hope, it's a choice. To trust God is to place your full confidence in Him, even when the path ahead is dark, even when the storm rages around you. It's saying, I believe you are who you say you are. I believe you'll do what you've promised. It's not always easy to trust, is it? Life can test our faith in ways we never imagined. Maybe you've faced betrayal, loss, or fear so overwhelming it's hard to breathe. Maybe you've questioned if God is really there, but this verse calls us to anchor our hearts in His unchanging character, not our shifting circumstances. He is faithful, strong, and ever-present, your refuge and your fortress. I think of a friend who once shared how this verse carried her through a season of deep uncertainty. She had lost her job and was unsure how she would provide for her family. Every morning, before facing the day, she would speak these words aloud. You are my refuge and my fortress, my God, in you I trust. Over time, the fear that had gripped her heart began to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence. Doors opened, provision came, and through it all she discovered a deeper intimacy with God. A trust forged in the fires of difficulty. This is the power of Psalm 91 verse 2. It's not just a verse to memorize, it's a lifeline to hold on to. When you speak it aloud, you're declaring that God is greater than your fears, stronger than your struggles, and nearer than you could ever imagine. So let me ask you, are you willing to make this your declaration? To trust Him as your refuge when you're weary, as your fortress when you're under attack, and as your God, the one who will never fail you. Speak these words over your life today. Let them be a reminder that no matter what you face, you can run to God and find rest, protection, and unshakable peace. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. Psalm 91, 3-6. Take a moment. Picture these words wrapping around you like a shield, each line a promise designed to anchor your heart in peace. This passage is more than a poetic reflection. It's a declaration of God's unwavering protection, a truth you can cling to in every trial and storm. He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. The snare of the fowler is no ordinary trap. It's a carefully set snare, hidden and strategic. It speaks to the spiritual and emotional traps we face, temptations, deceit, circumstances that subtly lure us away from safety. But here's the promise: God sees what we cannot. He delivers us, not because of our ability to navigate life's complexities, but because of his ability to lead us through them. The perilous pestilence is equally striking. It reminds us of both physical afflictions, diseases and plagues, and the unseen dangers that threaten our inner peace, like fear, anxiety, or despair. Yet God's deliverance is comprehensive. His care extends to every facet of our being, offering healing for both body and soul. I think about the darkest days of the COVID-19 pandemic, when fear seemed to infiltrate every corner of life. Yet even amidst the uncertainty, many people clung to verses like this, finding hope not in the absence of danger, but in the presence of God. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. This imagery is profoundly tender. Picture a mother bird spreading her wings over her young, shielding them from rain, wind, and predators. She absorbs the brunt of the storm so her chicks remain safe. This is the depth of God's care for you, not distant or detached, but close, intimate, sacrificial. Under his wings you shall take refuge. This is a call to draw near, to step into the shelter of his love. It's not just about protection, it's about relationship. To be under his wings is to be in his presence, enveloped in his care. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. God's truth is both defensive and offensive, a shield to guard against attacks, and a buckler, a smaller, more versatile shield, to empower you in close combat. His promises are not fragile or fleeting. They are strong, unyielding, and reliable. Think about the lies and fears that bombard us daily. You're not enough. You won't make it. You're alone. Against these, God's truth rises like an impenetrable wall, declaring, "You are loved. You are mine. I will never leave you. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day." Nighttime has a way of amplifying fear, doesn't it? It's when uncertainties loom largest and our vulnerabilities feel exposed. The psalmist acknowledges these terrors, but reminds us they have no power over those who trust in God. The arrow that flies by day captures the visible, tangible threats we face in life. It could be conflict, criticism, or unforeseen challenges. Day or night, seen or unseen, God's protection remains steadfast, reminding us that nothing escapes his notice. Nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. This verse highlights the all-encompassing nature of God's care. Whether danger comes stealthily, like the pestilence that walks in darkness, or brazenly, like the destruction that lays waste at noonday, God's presence is constant. The pestilence may symbolize fears or challenges we can't anticipate, those moments when life blindsides us. The destruction at noonday represents the trials we see coming, but feel powerless to stop. In both, the promise holds: God is with us. His protection doesn't waver, regardless of the time or intensity of the storm. Reflecting on Psalm 91, verses 3 through 6, these verses are a breathtaking reminder of God's complete and unshakable care. They don't deny the reality of life's dangers. Traps, pestilence, terror, and destruction are real, but they boldly declare that none of these can overcome those who find their refuge in God. If you're feeling overwhelmed, uncertain, or afraid today, let these promises sink deeply into your soul. Picture God as the one shielding you from harm, wrapping you in his feathers, and standing as your unmovable fortress. His protection doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. It means you'll never face them alone. So take refuge under his wings, trust in his truth, and rest in the confidence that no matter what comes your way, whether it's the terrors of night, the arrows of day, or the unseen dangers in between, you are held, loved, and shielded by the God who never fails. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. Psalm 91, 7 through 10. These verses paint a picture of unshakable security, a divine shield that guards those who trust in God. They remind us that God's protection is not partial or conditional, but complete, encompassing every aspect of our lives. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Imagine the chaos of a battlefield where countless lives are lost and destruction surrounds you. The imagery is intense, almost overwhelming. Yet, amid this turmoil, there's a striking promise. It shall not come near you. Why? Because you are under the care of the Almighty. His presence forms an unbreakable barrier, a refuge that danger cannot penetrate. The numbers, 1,000 and 10,000, aren't meant to be literal, but symbolic of overwhelming odds. They represent the sheer scale of the threats we face, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. Yet no matter how daunting the challenges, God's protection is greater. This doesn't mean we will never face hardship, but it assures us that even in life's fiercest battles, God's care surrounds us. He may not remove every trial, but he will sustain us through them, ensuring they don't consume us. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Here, the psalmist shifts focus to God's justice. While the faithful stand secure, the wicked face the consequences of their actions. This verse reassures us that God sees and judges all things in his perfect timing. Think about the story of Noah and the flood. As the waters rose, destruction swept across the earth, but Noah and his family, sheltered in the ark, remained untouched. They witnessed the fulfillment of God's justice while being preserved by his grace. This verse invites us to trust in God's sovereignty, even when it seems like evil is prevailing, because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. This is the heart of the promise, the choice to make God your refuge and dwelling place. It's not a passive act. It requires intentionality and trust. To dwell in God is to live in his presence daily, not just in moments of crisis. It's to anchor your life in him, allowing his peace and protection to surround you constantly. The phrase dwelling place suggests intimacy and permanence. God is not merely a temporary shelter for emergencies. He is a home, a place where you belong, where you are fully known and loved. When you make him your dwelling, your life is rooted in his presence, and no storm can uproot you. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. The scope of this promise is extraordinary. It extends beyond personal protection to cover your home and those you hold dear. The dwelling becomes a sacred space, marked by God's presence and shielded from harm. Does this mean life will always be smooth or free from pain? Not at all. Instead, it assures us that nothing can touch us unless it passes through God's sovereign hands. Even when trials come, they are filtered through His love and purpose, working ultimately for our good. Reflection on Psalm 91, verses 7 through 10. These verses challenge us to trust in God's promises, especially when life feels uncertain. They are a call to shift our focus from the chaos around us to the God who holds us securely. Fear is a powerful force. It whispers lies, magnifies threats, and steals peace. But Psalm 91 reminds us that fear has no hold on those who dwell in God's presence. His protection isn't a fragile shield, it's an unbreakable fortress. If you're facing uncertainty today, whether it's illness, financial struggles, or fear of the unknown, let these verses encourage you. Make God your dwelling place. Spend time in His presence. Allow His truth to fill your heart, and trust that He is both your refuge and your fortress. In Him, you are not just safe, you are deeply loved and fully secure. No matter what surrounds you, His promises remain steadfast. Rest in them. Let them be the foundation of your peace, the anchor for your soul, and the assurance that in Him you are home. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Psalm 91, 11 through 13. These verses offer one of the most profound and vivid assurances of divine care in all of Scripture. They are a reminder of God's intentional protection over His people, a protection so complete that He dispatches His angels to guard us in every moment of life. This is not a distant or abstract promise. It is deeply personal, practical, and empowering. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. The word charge speaks volumes. God doesn't simply suggest that His angels watch over us. He commands them. This shows the depth of His love and the active nature of His care. These angels are not merely passive observers. They are divine messengers, directly tasked with guarding every step you take. The phrase, "in all your ways," emphasizes the breadth of this protection. Whether you're walking a well-lit path or navigating the shadows of uncertainty, God's angels are there. It's a comforting thought. There is no corner of your life too mundane or too messy for His attention. His angels walk with you, safeguarding your every move, from the known to the unknown, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Imagine a traveler on a rugged, unpredictable trail. Stones and pitfalls lurk ahead, yet unseen guardians clear the way, ensuring each step is secure. This is the kind of watchful care God provides, attentive, precise, and unwavering. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. This verse paints a tender picture of divine intervention. The angels not only guide but also carry you when necessary, lifting you out of harm's way. Picture a parent lifting their child over a rough patch of ground. The act is gentle yet strong, motivated by love and a desire to protect. In the same way, God's angels are ever present, ready to step in when life's dangers threaten to overwhelm us. This doesn't imply we'll never face difficulties. Rather, it assures us that we are never abandoned in those challenges. The promise is clear. God's angels will prevent the stumbling blocks of life from derailing us entirely. Even in moments of weakness, we are held, supported, and steadied. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. This verse shifts from protection to empowerment. God doesn't just shield us from harm, He gives us the authority to overcome it. The lion represents open, fierce challenges, those loud, roaring problems that intimidate and overwhelm. The cobra symbolizes hidden dangers, subtle threats or deceptive challenges that we might not see coming. Whether the danger is bold and blatant or sly and secretive, the promise remains: you will tread upon it. The act of treading isn't passive. It's deliberate, confident, and victorious. This verse reflects the strength and authority that God grants his people. Through his power, you are not only protected from life's threats, but empowered to walk over them, rendering them powerless beneath your feet. The young lion and serpent reinforce this truth. No matter how persistent or cunning the threat, God equips you to face it boldly. In him, even the fiercest dangers and subtlest deceits are no match for the strength he provides. Reflection on Psalm 91:11 through 13. These verses remind us that God's care is both active and empowering. His angels are not distant figures, but attentive guardians, tasked with protecting us through every twist and turn of life. Their protection is comprehensive, covering both the seen and unseen dangers we encounter. Yet, the promise doesn't stop at protection. God invites us to live victoriously, to tread on the very things that once threatened to destroy us. Through his strength, the lions and serpents of life, be they challenges, fears, or temptations, are no longer threats, but stepping stones to a deeper trust in him. Have you ever felt unexpectedly safe in a situation where danger seemed certain, or experienced peace when anxiety should have consumed you? These moments reflect the unseen work of God's angels and his sustaining presence in your life. If you're facing challenges today, whether they roar like lions or slither like serpents, remember this: you are not alone. You are guarded by angels, commanded by God himself, and through his power, you are more than a conqueror. Let this truth give you confidence to face whatever lies ahead. Not only are you protected, but you are empowered to walk boldly, knowing that no challenge is greater than the God who goes before you. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Psalm 91:14 through 16. As the curtain falls on Psalm 91, the voice of God speaks directly. These aren't just promises. They are declarations from the heart of the Almighty. They carry the weight of divine authority, offering a covenant of love and protection for those who set their affection on him. It's as though God steps forward to assure us personally, "This is what I will do for you. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name." The phrase, "set his love upon me," reveals a profound truth about relationship. This love is not shallow or fleeting. It's a deep, steadfast devotion. It's the kind of love that clings to God in both joy and hardship, much like a child clings to their parent in trust and affection. God's response to this love is extraordinary. I will deliver him. This deliverance isn't just rescue, it's freedom. Freedom from fear, sin, and the burdens that weigh us down. But he doesn't stop at deliverance. I will set him on high. He elevates us to a place of safety and honor, beyond the reach of harm. And why does he do this? Because he has known my name. To know God's name is to know his character, his faithfulness, his power, and his unwavering love. It's about intimacy and trust, cultivated through walking with him daily. When you know his name, you understand that he is not just a refuge. He is your refuge. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. This verse highlights the relational nature of God's care. He doesn't just deliver from afar, he is intimately involved in every moment of our lives. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. Think about the power of those words. When you cry out to God, he listens. He doesn't ignore or delay. He responds with love and action. Even more profound is his promise, I will be with him in trouble. God doesn't promise a trouble-free life, but he assures us that we will never face it alone. He is present in the fire, the storm, and the wilderness, walking beside us, strengthening us, and guiding us through. And then comes a promise of restoration. I will deliver him and honor him. God doesn't merely save, he honors. Imagine being lifted from the depths of despair and crowned with dignity and purpose. This is the kind of honor only God can bestow, eternal, unshakable, and rooted in his love. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. The final verse speaks of ultimate fulfillment. With long life I will satisfy him goes beyond quantity of years to the quality of those years. It's about a life rich with meaning, peace, and joy, a life that overflows with God's goodness. But the greatest promise lies in the last line, I will show him my salvation. This is the heart of it all, eternal salvation, the promise of life with God forever. It's the assurance that through his grace, we are not just protected in this life, but redeemed for eternity. This is the culmination of every promise in Psalm 91, the ultimate refuge, the ultimate deliverance, the ultimate reward, the promise and eternal reward of God. Psalm 91 concludes with a direct and powerful declaration from God, a promise of his unyielding love, divine protection, and eternal reward. These are not fleeting words of comfort, but a covenant, extending beyond the trials of this life into the eternal security of his presence. For those who love and trust him, God offers deliverance, honor, fulfillment, and the ultimate reward of salvation. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. This promise is deeply personal. It begins with a condition that reflects relationship. Because he has set his love upon me. This love isn't superficial or situational. It's a steadfast, wholehearted devotion to God. It's the kind of love that prioritizes him above all else, clinging to him as the ultimate source of hope and security. God responds to this love with action. I will deliver him. This deliverance goes beyond physical safety. It is complete rescue from fear, sin, and anything that seeks to harm or separate us from his presence. Even more, I will set him on high promises a place of safety and honor, lifted above the chaos and dangers of life, secure in his grace and power. The foundation of this promise is the psalmist's acknowledgement, because he has known my name. To know God's name is to know his character, his faithfulness, mercy, and sovereignty. It reflects a deep trust built through walking with him daily, experiencing his unchanging nature, and calling on him in every season. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. Here, God assures us of his attentiveness and relational closeness. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. These words reflect a father who is deeply engaged with his children, always ready to hear and respond. Your prayers are never ignored, and your cries never go unanswered. Even more reassuring is the promise, I will be with him in trouble. This doesn't mean life will be free of hardship, but it guarantees that you will never face those hardships alone. God's presence is a constant source of strength and comfort. When storms rage, he walks with you. When burdens weigh heavy, he carries them with you. God doesn't stop at deliverance. I will deliver him and honor him. He rescues and then elevates, bestowing dignity, value, and eternal recognition. This honor is not the fleeting praise of the world, but the eternal affirmation of the Creator himself, who sees your worth and calls you beloved. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. The final verse is the crescendo of God's promises. With long life I will satisfy him is a pledge of fulfillment, both in the length and quality of life. This isn't merely about living many years, but about a life enriched by God's peace, purpose, and presence. A life where contentment replaces striving and joy is found in every moment with Him. The ultimate promise is this: "And show him my salvation." This is the heart of God's covenant. His salvation isn't limited to temporary deliverance in this life. It is the eternal redemption made possible through Jesus Christ. It is forgiveness of sins, the breaking of every chain, and the promise of eternal life in His presence. This salvation is the culmination of God's love, a life lived under His care on earth, and an eternity spent in His glorious kingdom. It is the ultimate reward, where every tear is wiped away and every longing is satisfied in Him. Reflection on God's eternal promises. Psalm 91 closes with a profound assurance. God's promises are unchanging, His love unshakable, and His salvation eternal. For those who set their love upon Him, He offers not only deliverance from life's challenges, but also a life of deep fulfillment and the promise of eternal joy in His presence. These verses remind us that God's rewards extend far beyond temporary comfort. He gives us Himself, His presence, protection, and eternal glory. In every trial, we can cling to the truth that God not only hears, but responds. He not only delivers, but restores. He not only protects, but honors. If you are facing uncertainty or difficulty, take these promises to heart. God has declared His commitment to you. He will deliver you. He will answer when you call. He will be with you in every storm. He will honor you and show you His salvation. These aren't just words of comfort. They are the eternal covenant of a loving Father who desires not only to protect you in this life, but to bring you into everlasting joy with Him. This is His promise to you, a life of fulfillment now and an eternity of perfect peace in His presence. Applying Psalm 91 to daily life. Psalm 91 is not just a psalm of comfort, but a blueprint for living in faith, trust, and intimacy with God. Its promises are active and alive, offering guidance for navigating life's challenges and embracing God's eternal hope. By applying its truths to your daily walk, you can experience peace, protection, and purpose, regardless of circumstances. 1. Seek God's secret place through prayer. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91, verse 1. To live in the protection and peace of God, cultivate a habit of seeking His presence daily. This secret place is not a physical location, but an intimate connection with Him, found in moments of prayer, worship, and quiet reflection. Action. Dedicate time each day to be with God. Whether it's a quiet corner in your home or a brief pause during your workday, use this time to pour out your heart and listen for His voice. Impact. As you spend time in God's presence, you'll find your fears replaced with peace and your uncertainties with trust. His shadow becomes your shelter, guarding your heart and mind. 2. Trust in God's protection in all circumstances. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day. Psalm 91:5. Life's uncertainties often bring fear and anxiety, but Psalm 91 calls you to place your trust in God's protective care. Whether facing visible challenges like illness or financial strain, or invisible threats like fear or doubt, remind yourself of His promises. Example: when fear rises, meditate on verses like Psalm 91, 5-6. Declare, God is my refuge, I will not fear, for He is with me. Result: by trusting in His protection, you'll find strength to face challenges with courage, knowing that nothing happens outside His sovereign will. 3. Rely on God's faithfulness amid challenges. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. Psalm 91:4. Trials are inevitable, but God's truth is your constant defense. His promises, recorded in Scripture, provide the foundation for standing firm when life feels unstable. Practice. In moments of doubt or difficulty, pause and declare, "The Lord is my refuge and my fortress. His truth shields me." Outcome. As you cling to His word, you'll find hope and clarity, even in the darkest situations. God's faithfulness will sustain you, offering both protection and strength. 4. Recognize the presence of angels in your life. For He shall give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. God's protection often includes His angels, spiritual beings tasked with guarding and guiding you. Their presence is a reflection of God's love and care. Reflection. Think back on moments when danger was averted or peace was restored unexpectedly. Thank God for His angels who were likely at work in those situations. Daily habit. When you pray, acknowledge God's angels and their role in your life. This awareness can deepen your gratitude and confidence in His care. 5. Live in peace when facing danger. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Psalm 91 verse 7. Psalm 91 offers peace, even in the midst of chaos. When danger or uncertainty surrounds you, these promises remind you that God's protection is steadfast and unshakable. Example. During global crises, personal loss, or overwhelming uncertainty, repeat this verse as a prayer. Trust that even when the world feels unstable, God remains your solid foundation. Peace. This trust allows you to navigate life's storms with calm assurance, knowing that nothing happens apart from His permission and purpose. 6. Make God the center of your life to receive His rewards. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver Him. I will set Him on high because He has known my name. Psalm 91:14. The promises of Psalm 91 are for those who love and trust God wholeheartedly. Loving God means making Him the center of your life, not just in times of need, but in every moment. Actionable steps. Love God. Spend time in His word, serve others with His love, and worship Him with gratitude. Trust God. Bring your concerns to Him in prayer, believing He hears and will answer. Reward. As you make God your dwelling place, you'll experience His deliverance, honor, and ultimate salvation. 7. Live with hope for eternal life. With long life I will satisfy Him and show Him my salvation. Psalm 91 verse 16. The psalm concludes with the ultimate promise, eternal salvation. This is the anchor of hope for every believer, a life that extends beyond earthly trials into the joy and peace of God's eternal presence. Perspective. Let this promise shape your outlook on life. When faced with struggles, remember that this world is not your final home. God's salvation assures you of eternal life in His presence, where every tear is wiped away. Encouragement. Live each day with the confidence that your ultimate destination is eternity with God, filled with His love and glory. Conclusion. Applying Psalm 91 to daily life transforms it from words on a page into a living, breathing promise from God. As you seek His presence, trust His protection, and rely on His faithfulness, you'll discover peace and strength for every challenge. Let the words of Psalm 91 become your personal prayer, a reminder that God is your refuge, your fortress, and your salvation. Walk through each day with the assurance that His promises are unchanging, His angels surround you, and His love will sustain you, not just now but for all eternity. Today, choose to dwell in His secret place, abide in His shadow, and rest in the unshakable hope of His eternal reward.